we've got a guest right now that has got a really neat thing that she's doing. And again, when I first heard about this, it was another one of those things. I'm not sure I understand. I'm not sure I know how I feel about this. Joining us from Erie, Pennsylvania is Laura Marriott. Hello, Lori. Laura.
Hi.
I don't know why I'm calling you Lori. Hello,
That's
Laura.
okay. Hi, folks.
How are you?
Hey,
I am fine. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share our information with you.
Well, let me tell everybody what you're doing, and then we'll discuss it. And I'll just bring up to you some of the thoughts that I've had. First off, if it saves a baby, then obviously you can't complain about it. But what you're doing is you're offering women who are abortion-minded $3,000 not to have an abortion. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. So a woman who's thinking about having an abortion, you see her in a sidewalk counseling situation or in a crisis pregnancy situation or ever how you come across her, if she's going to have an abortion, and what you're saying is that very often these women's justification for this, I just can't afford to have a baby right now.
That's right.
And so what you step in and say, okay, well, we'll give you $3,000 if you want to abort.
That's exactly our mission, yes. And we incorporated back in 2005. I was working in the education division of our local crisis pregnancy center teaching abstinence, and I was listening to the executive director who did all of the counseling, and she was saying how many, even after seeing their beautiful baby on ultrasound, would still proceed to the abortion clinic for all the reasons you were talking about before, boyfriends and people pressuring them. And so I said, has anybody ever thought about just offering them a sum of money? And I met with a Christian lawyer here who said, it's a contract. She signs it and she gets the money. I don't see a problem with it. So he drafted the contract, and back in 2005, he thought we could have them choose to not abort but give it up for adoption. And we contracted with 8 young ladies. 4 of them did give them up for adoption, and we went to the first adoption hearing, and the judge was kind of uncomfortable with, saying that they had to give it up for adoption. So we went on an appeal, and it came back that we had to change the contract language. They could either keep it or give it up for adoption. And we have saved 41. We've signed contracts with 41 individuals. Amen. We are basically a referral agency from our local crisis pregnancy center. They know which women, after seeing the ultrasound, are still abortion-minded, so they give them our toll-free number if they want to consider signing the contract and getting the cash amount to choose life.
Well, on the surface, the first thing that jumps out at me is like this is a ransom. It almost has that kind of feel to it. But then you think about, well, during the times of slavery, you mentioned to Carol the other day when she talked to you, Christian people used to buy slaves in order to set them free.
That's exactly right. And even researching this, Lincoln had a Compensation for Emancipation Act in Washington, D.C., where they paid $300 to the slaveholders to set their slaves free. And it never went farther than just Washington, D.C., but there were a lot of proposals like that. And I gave you a list of the nations. Japan, Russia, Australia, Italy are all paying women to have babies because their falling fertility rates are so high.
Right.
Largely due to abortion. But so they're paying, like Russia, up to $9,000 for baby bonus.
Wow.
$3,000 from Japan every year until the child is 15. And, we're the greatest nation in the face of the earth, so I think we can, go ahead and join them. I wished it could be, I don't know if you remember, Senator Clinton, back in 2008 when she was running, proposed a $5,000 baby bonus for every baby born.
Yep.
And that was shut down, of course. I have a feeling the abortion advocates had something to do with that. But
right.
It was proposed, and it was, considered as a viable thing to do. So we're going to continue to do this. Our main mission, our website is saveunbornlife.org, and on that website, we have our contact information, but we also have a copy of the contract, the agreement that this girl signs with us. And since it's in Pennsylvania, the language does say Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So we are trying to spread the word to crisis pregnancy centers that they should try and use this contract. And if the woman is still abortion-minded after all of the counseling they've done, try that as an option. And we have found that it does make a difference in many cases.
Yeah, it's just, like I say, it's one of these things that the first time I heard about it, it just kind of caught me off guard a little bit. But the more I think about it, it makes sense. And like I said, we do these other things. We through our tax code, we encourage people to have babies, and sometimes we encourage them not to have babies. And so this is taking it into the private arena and saying,
that's right,
we're putting our money where our mouth is, right?
Exactly.
This is building a better mousetrap. We're here to save babies through every moral, legal, and ethical means possible.
Right.
We offered in San Bernardino women $1,000 to keep their babies, and sometimes that's all it took. But my simple math here, 41 babies times 3,000 is about $125,000 to save 41 people.
Yeah.
That's cheap.
Those babies' lives are priceless, and if 3,000 will convince them in that heated time where they're considering one way or the other, and that's what we found. It does sway very many of them. We luckily don't have an abortion clinic here in Erie, but they have to travel 2 hours to either Cleveland, Buffalo, or Pittsburgh to get their abortion done. And since our crisis pregnancy center sees a lot of those that need dating ultrasounds, we pretty much can assess which ones, are still going back and forth. And then she gives the toll-free number, and they sign. We meet with them and sign that contract. And then at the time of birth, we just go visit them and give them their money.
Well, and you also stipulate in the contract, as I understand, I haven't seen it, but that they can't be doing drugs. In other words, they have to do the right things prenatal to take care of this baby.
That's right, to have maximum outcome for a baby to be born, taking care of themselves, and eating healthy diets, doing as much as they can to bring this baby here in a healthy environment.
And
now, what percentage of these young women choose to have their baby placed for adoption, and what percentage keep them?
Well, we most of them are keeping their babies, and again, we're just happy the baby's there.
Right.
But we did have an adoption last year, and she used her money to go forward with her education. And she's still in touch with us, and I just applaud her. It was a beautiful, courageous choice. And the baby got here, and she got some financial compensation.
wow.
It's awesome.
And my thought is that you've got abortion funds established all over the country to help sway women to abort.
Yeah. Right.
So why not do the opposite?
That's a great point.
We pulled out of, I didn't, but Carhartt's trash, pro-lifers pulled out forms that had been filled out to apply for abortion funds for this exact amount of money, $3,000,
Right.
$1,000. And if they didn't have this money, they wouldn't have aborted. So why not give them money to do the opposite?
That's a great point, Jill.
Right.
And you know who funds the NAF? Warren Buffett.
Yep.
Warren Buffett Foundation.
That's right.
It ultimately goes back, and these guys want to have fewer people. Imagine if there was
Well, Warren Buffett's a eugenicist.
He absolutely is.
You know.
And he's funding abortion and abortion procedures and abortion machines
Right.
all over the world. Imagine there was an amazing Christian philanthropist that would drop $100 million into a fund to save babies like this across the United States. Not only would we save babies, we might be able to take away enough business from the abortion industry to put a lot of them out of business.
And they're dropping like flies, as we show in the news today anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And the ones that are still there are hanging on by a thread.
Oh,
You know.
we're going to win this deal so quick.
That would be tremendous. Jill,
Yeah,
you
that
once
is
actually,
hopeful news.
Yes, it is.
Well, the Erie, Pennsylvania abortion clinic closed down a few years ago.
Yep.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. The person was traveling, long distances and had all kinds of, penalty things against him. And luckily, he got out of here, and we're just very blessed about that.
Well, it wasn't luck. It was a lot of work, but we'll keep praying.
Right.
yeah, Jill once asked us what was one of our favorite movies. And for mine, it was Schindler's List. And I noticed Mark made some notes on Schindler because one of the things he did, he actually bought some
Right.
of the people that was,
Bought some of the Jews.
yeah.
Paid the Nazis not to kill
He
them.
did all kind of little things.
Right.
Yes.
A spoiler,
And
if you haven't seen the movie, is that at the very end of it, he's still wondering, could he have just saved one
more. If I could just gotten one more. Yeah, that's right.
That's the way we feel, as many as we can until we go meet our Maker,
That's right. That's right.
Right, and it's just such a small sum when you think about it. And if we could just, thanking you again for just keeping our information to get out there, because I think pro-life citizens would understand that if they just saved that $3,000, you know, instead of going to Disney for the third time or, you know, big cars or whatever, that priceless gift, they can always say they contributed to the life of a human being. We have a memorial, or Memorial Plus, you know, heavy contributors that are helping us. And so far it's been in honor of my mom and dad because they had 11 children and just did God's way all the way through. And
Wow.
they had such a wonderful, you know, happy marriage, and the children were just all grateful to have parents like that. So,
Absolutely. Well, Laura, thank you for what you're doing, and it's innovation like that. You know, there's lots of innovation on the pro-life side.
Yeah.
Whether it's this or there's some of the things we do or some things you do. There's none on the other side. They're landlocked. They don't have any new arguments. They don't have any new strategies. They're landlocked,
Right.
and they can't deal with this onslaught of what's happening in the pro-life movement. And I thank you, Laura, for what, and I thank you.
Thank you all for all you do too, because I've read lots about, you know, Mark, your investigating of Planned Parenthood. I keep up with most of that. Troy, I think you even helped counsel Norman McCorvey, right?
We did.
Yes, and those are things to me. I read her book and I went, wow, you know, to have that issue always on the forefront for her, it would be so joyous to overturn it in her lifetime.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us, Laura, and
Well,
keep up the
thank
good
you
work.
guys. All right.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Thank you, ma'am.